Hi, folks. Thanks for stopping by. We've just taken our most recent article and converted it into a podcast so that you can listen to it on the go. Yes, we used AI, but the insights we share aren't diluted in any way. Enjoy.
Imagine staring down a deadline, right? And you ask your AI for a quick summary of a really complex topic.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Right. Or maybe you need a draft for a critical project, and it hands you this brilliantly articulated, perfectly formatted response.
And you just feel that initial wave of relief, like, thank goodness.
Exactly. You feel great. But there's just one problem. You look a little closer, and the core statistic it hinges on is just entirely fake.
Yeah, or the research paper it cited just doesn't actually exist.
Doesn't exist. We've all been there, and it is so infuriating. I mean, it drives people crazy.
It really does. And the immediate reaction is almost always to just blame the tool, right?
For sure.
We just throw hands up and declare that, the model is hallucinating again, or that it's fundamentally broken.
Like, it simply cannot be trusted for serious work.
Exactly. We treat it as a technical failure of the software itself.
Well, our mission for this deep dive is to completely flip that script. We are going to look at the source material today and fundamentally shift how you interact with these tools.
Yeah, because what the research and the operational data clearly show is that when an AI lies to you, it's very rarely a model problem.
Right. Almost always, it is a workflow problem.
And that is the pivotal shift in perspective right there.
It really is. So whether you are, prepping for a high-stakes meeting or trying to scale your own content output, or even just looking to automate some daily friction without looking foolish, you have to realize something.
Yeah, you have to realize the tool is operating exactly as designed.
Which sounds crazy, but it's true. Our goal today is to show you how to build a system around that tool, a workflow where accuracy isn't a dice roll, but the default outcome.
Right. You want accuracy by design.
Okay, let's unpack this, because going from the sheer frustration of an AI just making things up to realizing that the model is actually doing exactly what it was designed to do, well, that's a massive paradigm shift.
It really is a totally different way of thinking.
Yeah. We have to start with why the fabrication happens in the first place. Since we know these are fundamentally predictive engines, not reasoning engines, the moment you starve them of context.
You force them to prioritize linguistic plausibility over factual accuracy.
Exactly. They just want to sound plausible.
Which is the root of the entire issue.
Yeah.
Let's look at the baseline user behavior for a second. Someone opens an interface and types in this vague single-sentence prompt.
Right, like, write me a strategic memo about our new software rollout.
Yeah, or draft a sales page for my consulting business.
And they provide zero background. I mean, no rough notes, no specific customer data, no strategic constraints at all.
They're essentially treating the AI like an oracle, like this magical answer machine.
Totally. They assume it holds the absolute truth of their specific universe hidden somewhere inside its code, just waiting to be unlocked with the right magical combination of words.
But language models do not store facts like a database. That's just not how they work. Right. They are synthesis engines. They optimize for what sounds plausible based on the massive linguistic patterns they were trained on.
So when you give a synthesis engine a vague prompt with literally no raw material to synthesize,
it still has to complete the task. So it bridges the gap using statistical probability.
it predicts what a strategic memo usually looks like.
Exactly. Or what kind of numbers usually appear in a successful sales page. It is not reasoning from vetted expertise at all. It is generating an incredibly convincing facsimile of expertise.
I love that phrase, a facsimile of expertise. It's like hiring a highly confident improv actor to take a test for you.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. If they don't know the answer to a specific question, they aren't going to just leave it blank and break character.
No, an improv actor would never do that.
They will just invent a convincing historical event based on the general vibe of the room. They will look you dead in the eye and deliver a complete fabrication with perfect conviction.
Right, and the less background material you give that actor, the wilder their improvisation has to get to fill the silence.
Because they have nothing else to go on.
Exactly. That is context starvation. When you starve the model of real-world inputs, you are basically forcing it into an improv routine.
Yeah.
You demand that it generate missing expertise from thin air, which is the exact moment the risk of hallucinations spikes to its maximum.
So the tool isn't malfunctioning. It is just compensating for a complete lack of input architecture.
Right. It's doing its job based on what you gave it.
Which naturally leads us to how we actually fix that architecture.
Yeah.
I mean, if context starvation forces the improv actor to invent facts, the entire game becomes about how we feed the model the right material.
And we have to do that before we ever ask it to write a single sentence.
Exactly. The sources call this building the input layer.
And building the input layer is really the foundation of a reliable system. It means you must ground the request in tangible reality.
So before you ask for an output, you provide the raw material.
Yes. This could be a transcript from a really messy brainstorming session, or maybe just a bulleted list of rough ideas you jotted down on your phone.
Or specific frameworks you rely on, or even hard data sets for a client report.
Exactly. You are essentially documenting your methodology and your facts first.
The sources draw a really sharp functional contrast here.
Mhm.
Think about two totally different approaches using the exact same model.
Okay.
In the first approach, you upload an audio transcript of a conversation you had with a customer, plus a list of frequent objections from your email history, and a very basic, unpolished outline of your thoughts.
A lot of great raw material.
Right. And the AI draft that comes back from that is going to be grounded. It'll be highly specific and really anchored in your reality.
And in the second approach, you just type that one-line generic request. And what happens? You get polished filler.
Yes. Just complete fluff.
I mean, it reads fluently, it has great vocabulary, but it collapses the second you apply any operational scrutiny to it.
Because there's no load-bearing structure underneath the words.
Exactly. And the difference in quality there has nothing to do with prompt engineering.
Oh, that's such a good point. People obsess over the prompt.
They do, but it has everything to do with the fact that AI performs exponentially better as a transformer of existing information than as an inventor of new information.
But wait, I have to push back on this a little bit. On behalf of anyone listening who is, already strapped for time,
Sure.
gathering meeting transcripts, writing out rough notes, pulling historical frameworks, doesn't putting all this heavy friction at the very beginning of the process totally defeat the purpose?
You mean the purpose of using an AI to save time?
Yeah. I mean, if I have to do 80% of the intellectual gathering before I even open the interface, why am I even using it?
That is the most common operational pushback, and honestly, it makes total sense if you only look at the first 5 minutes of the task.
Right, because it feels like a lot of work.
It absolutely feels slower up front. But if you track the time across the entire life cycle of a project, this input-first approach saves an immense amount of hours.
How so?
Because the friction you add at the beginning eliminates the devastating hidden costs on the back end.
Oh, you're talking about editing fatigue.
Yes. Editing fatigue is a massive productivity killer. When you use the magic button approach and let the AI invent the draft, you might get a result in 10 seconds.
Which feels amazing.
It does, but then you spend 2 hours untangling it.
Ah, yeah.
You are constantly fact-checking its claims against your own knowledge. You are rewriting generic, lifeless paragraphs to sound like they actually came from a human being with a pulse.
You're trying to inject your specific business context into a document that fundamentally lacks it.
Exactly. And that cognitive load of reading a beautifully written paragraph and trying to figure out if the underlying premise is actually true, it's exhausting.
It really is. It's much harder to reverse engineer accuracy into a hallucinated document than it is to just provide the accuracy up front.
For sure. Not to mention the ultimate time sink.
What's that?
The unrecoverable credibility damage if you accidentally publish a fake statistic or a hallucinated legal precedent because you were, just skimming during the edit phase.
Wow. Yeah, that credibility damage is the silent risk of the magic button workflow.
It really is. The time you spend supplying raw material up front is just a fraction of the time you will spend repairing the damage of unreliable output.
So you are basically shifting your human effort away from the frustrating task of editing garbage.
Exactly. And reallocating it to the high-value task of supplying raw, accurate material.
Okay, so providing a rich input layer solves the context starvation problem. But the sources are very clear that even if you provide incredible notes and perfect transcripts, the workflow can still completely fracture.
Yeah, if you ask the AI to do too much at once, we really have to look at how we deconstruct the task itself.
Right. This is where seemingly advanced workflows quietly fall apart. A user will upload great notes, but then they will ask the model to interpret the notes, structure an argument, reason through the logic, and write the final, polished draft, all in a single prompt.
And on paper, that sounds like the ultimate efficiency hack, right? Just process it all at once.
Yeah, why not just get it all done in one go?
Well, In practice, asking a neural network to perform simultaneous, complex cognitive operations is exactly how fabricated logic creeps into the output.
Because you are overwhelming the synthesis engine.
Precisely. You have to decouple the process into distinct stages. The first stage, let's call it stage A, is purely about structure and logic.
Okay, so before you ever ask the AI to write a paragraph of prose, you ask it to map the terrain based only on your inputs.
Yes.
Mapping the terrain meaning like you ask it to extract the key claims from your messy notes and just organize them.
Organize them, surface any underlying assumptions, build the core argument, and crucially flag any areas where information is missing or contradictory.
Oh, that's smart. So you don't want complete sentences here at all.
No, not at all. You want a skeletal bullet point list. The goal of stage A is just to pressure test the thinking. You want to review the underlying logic of the piece before the aesthetic writing phase even begins.
Because asking it to do everything in one go is like hiring a contractor and telling them to draw the blueprints, pour the foundation, and paint the walls all on the exact same Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean, of course the house is going to collapse.
You have to look at the blueprints, the logic outline, and approve them before anyone starts pouring concrete.
What's fascinating here is how this decoupling mathematically changes your ability to detect errors.
How so?
Well, by reviewing a skeletal outline first, you strip away the camouflage of good writing.
Oh, the camouflage. I like that.
Yeah, because if the AI hallucinates a logical connection or misunderstands your transcript, it is glaringly obvious when it's just sitting there as a standalone bullet point.
That is so true. It is incredibly hard to spot a logical leap or a subtle lie when it is wrapped in perfect grammar and like smooth transitional sentences.
We get completely lulled into a false sense of security by the fluency of the prose.
We really do. But once you review that logic outline, correct any misinterpretations and approve it, then you move to stage B, right? Which is the actual drafting.
Exactly. But now you are drafting against strict validated constraints. You instruct the AI to write the document using only the approved outline.
So you are drastically narrowing the model's speculative freedom.
Yes. It no longer has to invent the argument while it writes. It merely has to execute the formatting and tone against a pre-approved blueprint.
Which brings up a critical layer of this entire system. Because even if you tightly bound the AI to a logic outline, there's still a vulnerability, isn't there?
There is.
I mean, it's writing sentences, which means it might still reach for a predictive number or a historical reference just to make a sentence flow better.
Right, just to make it sound more natural.
So we need to evaluate the risk of the tasks we are assigning. I imagine the danger scales up the moment the model has to reach outside the provided text.
That is the defining line between a safe transformation and a high-risk generation. It's really the difference between a closed universe and an open universe of facts.
Got it.
Understanding task risk profiles is honestly one of the most powerful mental models you can adopt here.
Okay, so a closed universe task would be something like taking a messy list of customer complaints and formatting it into a categorized table, right? Or adapting an email from a casual tone to a professional tone.
Yes. Or extracting recurring themes from a transcript. Those are inherently low risk because the universe of facts is closed.
The model doesn't need to synthesize outside knowledge.
Right. It only has to map, compress, or reformat the words you have already verified. It is manipulating text, not creating reality.
The flip side of that is the open universe tasks, like generating statistics to support an argument or citing specific academic studies.
Yeah, or attributing quotes to historical figures, or offering complex legal or medical interpretations.
The risk requirement for verification on those tasks is absolute.
Absolutely. And the real operational danger is when we accidentally blend these tasks without even realizing it.
Like how?
Well, a very common prompt might look like, write an authoritative article about supply chain optimization and include supporting statistics and recent research.
I mean, that seems like a totally standard request, but based on what we are discussing, that prompt is actually a trap.
It is a massive trap.
Because it quietly combines a low-risk closed task, writing the article based on your knowledge, with incredibly high-risk open tasks, like generating statistics and factual research.
Yes, it is a trap because you are inviting the improv actor back onto the stage.
Right.
If you do not provide the source material for those statistics in the input layer, the model will often just manufacture parts of the authority layer to fulfill your prompt.
Because it knows that an authoritative article usually contains percentages and citations, so it just predicts them into existence.
Exactly. A stable workflow separates those concerns entirely. You provide the research, the model helps structure and communicate it.
Which means we need a reliable way to catch those predictive additions if they do slip through. We need to build verification into the system, rather than just relying on a general gut feeling during a final read-through.
Yeah, gut feelings aren't enough.
The source material offers a really functional way to handle this. Instead of manually hunting for factual claims, you use the AI to build a targeted checklist.
Right.
You run a prompt that says, literally, list every claim in this document that would require external verification.
It is such a brilliant procedural step. It forces specificity. Instead of a vague sense that something might be off, you get an itemized list of percentages, dates, named reports, and specific claims.
It shifts the burden from your intuition to a systematic checklist.
Precisely.
But that raises a very relatable temptation.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at that checklist and I'm, worried about a specific statistic, it's surfaced.
Yeah.
Can I just ask the AI, hey, are you sure about this 42% number? Did you make this up?
Oh, you must never do that.
Wait, really? Never?
Ever. Asking a language model to verify its own output fundamentally misunderstands how the technology works, and it almost always compounds the error.
Because it's still just playing the improv game. It is simply predicting what a confident expert would say when challenged about a statistic.
Exactly. If it hallucinated the number the first time because it was statistically probable language, and you challenge it, it will often just confidently hallucinate a justification.
Or invent a fake source to back up its first hallucination.
Right. It will double down. Verification must happen entirely outside the model.
You have to check it against primary sources,
Yeah.
trusted internal documentation, or, data you directly control.
The sources recommend establishing what they call permanent verification gates in your workflow.
Permanent verification gates.
Yeah. This means you establish a hard, non-negotiable rule. You will always manually verify percentages, dates, named reports, attributed quotes, and any health, financial, or legal claims.
No exception.
No exceptions. If a fact cannot be confirmed outside the AI interface, you delete it or you rewrite the sentence conservatively. Accuracy has to become a mandatory procedure, not an afterthought.
Okay, let's step back and look at the whole board here.
Right.
We are tightly bounding the AI. We are providing all the heavy lifting inputs and raw material up front. We are decoupling the logic from the writing process to pressure test the blueprints. And we are manually verifying all the specific facts outside the system.
Yeah, that's the system.
So if we're doing all of this, it begs the question, what exactly is the AI doing? And what is our actual value in this equation?
That question really addresses the root cause of why so much AI-generated content online sounds structurally clean, but strangely lifeless.
You read it, it flows perfectly, the grammar is impeccable, but there is no edge to it. It lacks friction.
It sounds hollow because it's completely devoid of lived experience.
Yes, it lacks the operational scars of someone who has actually tried to implement the ideas.
Yeah.
It's just a remix of internet-shaped language patterns.
If the model is generating the thinking rather than just expressing your existing thinking, it will always sound hollow.
That makes total sense.
The ultimate division of labor in a hallucination-free workflow defines a very strict boundary between what the human brings and what the model brings.
Okay, so what does the human bring?
The human must supply the expertise, the judgment, the nuance, the specific examples, the positioning, and the actual frameworks.
Those are elements an AI cannot authentically generate because it hasn't lived them.
Right.
So we provide the messy, complex reality, and the model supplies the synthesis, the organization, the formatting, the tone adaptation, and the acceleration.
The model accelerates the expression of your expertise. It does not replace the expertise itself.
That distinction is crucial.
It really is, especially in any professional niche where credibility actually matters. Readers, clients, and colleagues can instinctively tell the difference between someone explaining a concept they have lived and breathed versus an AI simply predicting the next most logical word.
Even if the reader cannot articulate exactly why a document feels off, they can feel the lack of authenticity.
They absolutely can.
So what does this all mean? It means your own lived experience, your messy notes, your specific customer interactions that is actually your biggest asset.
Yeah.
The AI isn't replacing your knowledge. It's just a highly efficient vehicle for it. It's a synthesizer for the complex expertise that only you possess.
Exactly.
We need to stop asking, can AI be trusted? And start asking ourselves, have I designed a workflow where accuracy is the default outcome?
Yeah.
Because trust isn't a property of the tool itself. Trust is a property of the system you build around the tool.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it leaves you with a fascinating question to consider.
Oh, what's that?
We're entering a phase where synthesis, structuring, and formatting are practically free and instantaneous for everyone.
Right.
If we assume that baseline execution is no longer a bottleneck, how does that fundamentally change the value of human skills?
Wow, yeah.
In a future where everyone on Earth has a perfect instant synthesis engine at their fingertips, perhaps the only currency that will truly matter and the only thing you can monetarily charge a premium for is authentic, messy, unreplicable lived experience.
That is profound.
It makes you wonder, what experience are you building today that an AI could never predict?
Thanks for listening. We create new episodes every week and post on Thursdays. Consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell so that you're alerted when the next podcast goes live. See you next week.